So this is one of the favorite gifts I've ever received. Can y'all tell me what you notice about it? And it's backwards. That is intentional. Anything else? Do y'all know the jersey? Spurs. Is this a player that y'all know? Sadly, I wish I was. No, this is my name, so you can probably guess this is my favorite number. Thing about people today is that we love to have things customized. We love to have our favorite numbers, our favorite colors. Everything that we buy has to be unique to us. You think about when your parents buy a new house. All the houses are the same. They all look the same. They just have different structures or whatever it may be. But at the end of the day, they have to feel like they have something that's theirs. And we take that approach with everything, especially with millennials. Did you know that millennials spend $1.3 trillion annually buying different things? And most of those things are customized products, whether it's shoes, clothes, everything like that. Now, the irony of that is that all of it is mass-produced. None of it is actually unique, okay? And yet we spend so much time, we overwhelm ourselves with the decisions we have to make. And so I show you this because, one, it means a lot to me, but two, it represents that culture that we've created today. And so what I want to talk about today is how we tend to complicate what we buy in life, and yet the things that are really important, your purpose, your relationships, your family, your job, what you're going to do with your life, we like to simplify it. Everybody in here, for the most part, are millennials. All right? We're millennials, most of us are Latino, Hispanic. We identify with a specific ethnicity, culture, and that's who we are. And when we try to develop solutions for those things, we say, you know what, all millennials are this, or all Latinos are this way. Take myself, for instance. I'm a millennial. I graduated in 2011. My first professional job, I was paid about $3,200, which is about average for millennials today. I've changed 8 jobs in my entire lifetime since I was 16, which is also pretty average for millennials. I'm also Hispanic. They say that about 15% of Hispanics in the nation receive a bachelor's degree. That's about the same for people in the Valley in general. About 15% have a bachelor's degree. Now, I didn't fit into that 15%. I got my bachelor's. Now, other things that Hispanics, I tell people I don't like beans. And the very first thing they tell me is, oh, you're not Mexican because you don't like beans, or you don't like enchiladas. I'm picky, it's true. I talk about my food taste for burgers. I hate cheese on my burgers. And people say, that is not American. And what I'm trying to build up to is the reality that we're not that simple. It's not as simple as just being American or being an Hispanic. I'm also the child of divorce. My parents divorced when I was really young. And there's statistics about children with divorce. And that's just a few things about who I am. That doesn't take into consideration my character, my values, my purpose, my passion. None of that is taken into consideration. And the same thing happens with you all. Everyone in this room, we all have stereotypes, generalizations that we apply to ourselves, characters that are unique to ourselves. But when we try and say, you know what, I want to help you be successful, so as a millennial, this is what you need to do. Well, it doesn't work that way. We cannot develop a solution by simplifying who you are. And so we're supposed to talk about what we do every single day of our life. I left my job last year, May 2016, to start my own business. I have absolutely no business experience. I did not take any business classes. I was supposed to be a doctor. And so I jumped into it completely blind and terrified. But it was the best decision I ever made. Because one thing I definitely did learn is that if you're a leader, you learn how to create opportunities for yourself. You learn that if you know how to be a leader, there's nothing that's not possible. You have to understand what it takes and figure out how to do it. And so I asked a lot of questions. I connected with a lot of people. I was not afraid to admit I had no idea what I was doing. And I went to everyone and said, you know what? Tell me what I can do to be successful. And that's why I'm where I am today. And so I tell people that I'm a motivational speaker, or that I'm a leadership coach, or a life trainer. But the reality is, I try every single day to be a community builder. That's what's important to me. This community has given me everything that I have and they have blessed me in so many ways that I cannot even describe to you. And so what I want to do is I want to give back, and I want to build this community up by teaching leadership. And so I do it in two ways. One is I train people on what it means to be a leader. Pretty simple, but the reality is a lot of people don't believe that they can lead. A lot of people. I ask people all the time, do you think you're a leader? And they'll tell me, no, of course not. But leadership is so much more than what people understand. If you have siblings, you are a leader to your siblings. They look up to you every single day. Your parents look up to you. They expect things from you. When you have responsibilities, you have to have leadership to carry out those responsibilities. And so I teach people what leadership is. And at the same time, instead of using those generalizations that I'm a millennial or I'm a Latino or whatever it may be, as a way of stigmatizing myself, I use them as tools. I'm definitely not the most Mexican Hispanic out there. It's the truth. I'm very American. But I understand what's important to my Hispanic tradition, my Hispanic culture. I understand that family is one of the most important things out there. I understand that Hispanic people, they will sacrifice everything for their families, without a doubt. And then I take my other background as a millennial and an American, and I understand that if y'all don't know, millennials are very emotional. We've become more emotional people. And so I take that understanding and I use it as a tool. I say, you know what, because I know that millennials are more emotional, maybe I should listen better. And I try and take that into account as to, you know what, how can I develop a personalized message to help you become successful? Because like I said before, we can't create single solutions to your problems, to the things that you have to overcome. And so every single day, I'm working to say, you know what, I want every one of you to be successful. So that means I have to hear every one of your stories. I have to hear everything that is important to you. What is your character like? What are your values? What are some silly things that you think are really awesome? Like I love musicals. I mean, whatever it is, that makes you who you are. And that gives me more understanding of what it's going to take me to transform you into a leader. And so that's one thing I do. And the second part about how I try to create these solutions is I'm trying to leverage local leadership. I really believe that if we could somehow, honestly, really hold our local leaders accountable, the people that are speaking to you today, when they say that they want to help you, they need to mean it. And I'm trying to figure out how we can make that possible. I'm trying to figure out how we can get these leaders to collaborate, come together, so that way when we need a solution, we can do it together. And you know, sharing stories is one of the best ways to inspire people. If you think of all the people that are out there, not a lot of Hispanics or minorities are definitely high profile when it comes to education or different things like that. We don't get to see them very often. That's just the reality, and it's okay. But if you get to see someone from the Valley, if you see someone that came from Mercedes and now works for the White House or works for NASA or is doing amazing things with SpaceX or CNN, and they come and they talk to you, and all of a sudden they start telling you stories about a local place that you've been to, all of a sudden you're like, hey, I got this, we connect. And you start to realize that you have so much more potential that you can reach just by seeing someone that you relate to. And so I'm trying to leverage those leaders. I'm trying to connect students like yourselves with local businesses, with local nonprofit organizations, because the best way to learn and to develop as a leader is through experience. It's great to be in the classroom, but the more hands-on experience you can to learn something, the better you're going to be at it. The example I always use is when you go and you get a new job. If you meet people at a fast food restaurant, where it is, they go through training, and they go through really fast, intensive training. And in 2 weeks, they do their job really, really well. Why? Because they had great on-the-hand, on-the-job experience. And that's all it takes, is giving you that opportunity to see people firsthand what they do with their lives, so you can also have that leadership. And by doing so, like I said, I want to hold us accountable. When I say I want to be there for you, I mean it. And I try to live that every day. About 4 or 5 months ago, I did a speech for a couple of high school students, some seniors who are trying to get into college. And I talked to them about how you can kill an interview, what you need to talk about, what's important, what they're going to love, and how to really bring out the passion when you're trying to interview. And at the end of the speech, I told them, if any of you need anything, come to me. You can have my contact information. I promise I'll be there for you. Not everyone did, but the people that came to me and that approached me, they asked me for help with their college essays. And I literally spent 3 hours with people I had no idea who they were, working on Google Documents, and saying, you know what, I think you could change this, I think you can improve this. I asked them questions about who they were, because I knew how important it was that they came to me for that help. And I knew how important it was for them to get into college. And so when I say that I'm going to help you, I have to mean it. And everybody else, every leader that is from here, also has to mean that. Last thing I want you to do is take the papers in front of you. Go ahead and flip around. And these are statistics about millennials, about Hispanics, about people that are out there today and what they say about you. And so I want you to do two things. One, as a millennial, the way we take notes today is we love to take pictures, right? So we take pictures of the board, whatever it is. So go ahead and take a picture of this paper because you're about to trash it. So I want you to do two things. One, I want you to have a picture of this so you remember some of the things that people say about millennials, people say about Hispanics. And I want you to keep that so you can always remind yourself of what you're not. Okay? Once you have that picture, I want you to physically and metaphorically do whatever you need to do to say, this is not who I am. I'm not going to be a statistic that lives on a page. So crumple it up, tear it up, whatever you need to do to really tell yourself that this is not who you are. This is not, you're not a statistic. You're not that 15% of people that only is going to have a bachelor's degree. You're greater than this. You're more than this. Have fun with it, yeah. Let loose. Because what I need you to understand at the end of the day is no number is going to matter. The great thing about statistics is they can change, right? That's the most amazing thing about statistics, is people like to use them as a way to cap who you are and say, this is you. This statistic represents you. But the beautiful thing about it that people don't talk about is that they change. And so what I want you to know is that if someone tells you Hispanics, only 15% of them are going to get a degree, well then you say, you know what, we're going to move that number up to 20%, 30%, 40%. And all of that, I want you to understand that I will never, ever say that that's who you are. I'm always going to spend the time that you need to learn, you know what, this is who you are, these are your values, this is your purpose. And I'm going to take the time to hear your story, understand that. So that way, when I tell you I want to help you become a leader, you know that I mean it, and you know that I'm dedicating everything I have and everything I've ever done to you. Thank you.